Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Stand Your Ground Saturday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot, and we are welcomed with Lawfully Armed today.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
So for today's episode, we're going to talk about Frank Tyson versus the Canton traffic cops. For those who know who Frank Tyson was a black criminal in Ohio who, for almost 25 years of his life, was locked up for various offenses from kidnapping to theft, etc., got out of prison about 3 weeks ago, give or take, and then on the 18th, I believe it was, ended up being in a bar, was being rowdy, and I don't know if he's trying to start fights with people or what it was there, but apparently he had two Canton traffic cops come in there, and basically, because they were called to a scene of a vehicle pretty close to that, and then they were basically, on the radios, they're just like, hey, your guys are closest, go check us out or whatever. And they end up going and confronting him and got into a confrontation where they tried to put hands on, and then eventually ended up being sort of the old neon. And yeah, they sat there, and about 5-6 minutes later, he was unresponsive and had no pulse, and he's dead now. So his family is now trying to sue the city of Canton and Ohio taxpayers for wrongful death. The Canton cops involved in this, I think, are about 2 or 3 years into their careers. So we'll go over all that in a couple minutes. Here's what it is. Got a bunch of different things here. This one's probably the most that we know of from the local affiliate here, where it specifically talks about what we know about Frank Tyson following death while in custody in Canton police. So Tyson 53 had been free for 13 days following a 24-year prison sentence where he died on April 18th. Says in light of Frank Tyson's death while in custody of Canton police last week, News Channel 3 has launched a team coverage investigation of the incident. So this is one part of the investigation where we will share what we know. We're able to find about Tyson by reaching out to Ohio and Stark County officials, which is my backyard, obviously. This happened probably about a mile or two from my house, honestly, give or take. Well, not quite that close, but it's like maybe 5 miles or so from my house or so. Is where downtown Canton is. But yeah, it said sharing this information so that everyone reading home knows exactly what happened. So details related to Frank's time in prison are no way meant to imply anything. And that goes on from there. So Tyson was out of prison for 13 days while he died in police custody April 18th. At age 53, he was released from the Belmont Correctional Institute in St. Clairsville, Ohio on April 6th. So Tyson had served 24 years in prison for kidnapping, burglary, grand theft of a vehicle, receiving stolen property, and failing to comply with police. Related to his actions taken on or around July 20th, 2000. This is according to indictment. Filed 8 days after that date. Said Tyson's sentence for those crimes included 3 years of parole supervision after his release, according to a local affiliate from the Belmont Correctional Institute. So Stark County Clerk of Courts told this NBC affiliate that before Tyson was freed, he had requested a hearing to try to remove that parole condition. However, he was released before any hearing was held, so it was officially on parole at the time of his death. Says Ohio Department of Corrections records told local affiliate there that Tyson had not yet been arraigned or signed a parole officer prior to his death, so he's basically on parole without a parole officer when all this went down. So let's see. It said before Tyson's death last Thursday, incident report from the Canton Police Department states that Tyson crashed a 2011 Chevy Malibu into a utility pole. Okay, so that's why the cops were actually there. On Shurik Road in Canton before police were called there. Said the car was registered to another person and haven't been able to get in touch with that person. To enter the car to ask about if Tyson ended up with it or whatnot. So it might have been he actually stole somebody's car if that be the case and then crashed it, and that's why they actually were there for him. Let's see here now. Yeah, so Tyson's family
sounds like a real upstanding guy.
Yeah. So Tyson's family has since retained the services of attorney Bobby DeKello, who had previously represented the family of Jalen Walker, the other idiot who tried to shoot the cops and then got murked out. Says following his death, the hands of Akron police. Says family is quote unquote family devastated, and we are motivated to get justice for Frank Tyson. That Bobby guy said in a statement. So this is what we know about Tyson for now, and keep everybody updated on the whole thing. But yeah, there's like the actual video footage of them doing the whole, George Floyd knee there is what it was. Which is no good, man. Like, it's no bueno, bro. Like, you can do it in a better part of the back and everything like that, and it's like, it's just bad optics at that point. So
that's what I was going to ask, if they had released the body cam footage.
They did. It's out there. I'm not going to show it because I don't really want to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not worth risking the channel strike.
Yeah, there's other stuff here we can talk about on this whole thing because there's several affiliates that talked about this too, and like mainstream media talked about it as well. And I think this CBS CBS got it fucked up. Actually, they said it was Toledo, Ohio, but it was actually Canton. It's an Ohio man who was handcuffed and left face down on the floor in a social club last week. Died in police custody. Officials involved in the incident have been placed on paid leave. Says body cam footage released Wednesday shows Canton police officers responding to a report of a crash, finding Frank Tyson, 53-year-old. Oh, I didn't realize he was actually like legit a resident of my town by a bar in a nearby American Veterans or AMVETS post. So the crash at about 8 p.m. on April 18th had served a utility pole. Ohio or Officer Bo Schregerit's body cam footage shows after passing, motorists directed police to a bar. A woman opened the door and said, "Please get him out of here now." Okay, so it sounds like he basically was like fleeing a crash and then just trying to find some place to hide, essentially. And they're like, "Get the fuck out of here, bro." And that's when cops grabbed Tyson, restrained him with handcuffs, and said repeatedly, he said repeatedly, "They're trying to kill me," and called the sheriff as he was taken to the floor. So restraining him, including with a knee on the back. He immediately told officers he couldn't breathe. A recent Associated Press investigation found those words, "I can't breathe," had been disregarded in other cases of deaths in police custody. Yeah, it's basically them trying to cut for criminals at this point. CBS is anyway, and just ridiculous. So yeah, it was basically the guy. The guy most likely, what it sounds like, is got out of jail after 24 years, stole another fucking car, which he was already known to do for Grand Theft Auto, and then crashed into a utility pole, ran to the nearest bar that he could find a door that was on lock pretty much, and went in there to hide. And the cops found him and tried to take him into custody. And unfortunately, he did not make it. So I'm kind of seriously wondering with the autopsy if there's not going to be a bunch of drugs in the system, if that be the case. Because I can see that same exact thing. I can see it being Floyd 2.0 all over again, where it was just drugs in the system, if that be the case then.
It kind of sounds like part George Floyd, part that guy from Florida that had gotten out of jail and was out like less than a couple weeks. Like his case had been overturned. He served like several years on a wrongful conviction, and then that cop pulled him over for speeding or whatever, and then he like overpowered the cop. So the cop shot him.
I'm not sure about that one.
What's
That's
up, Penis?
been back in the last summer, probably.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one or not. How's it going, Corey?
It's going. How are y'all doing?
Yeah, tired.
Good.
Hands are hurting from yesterday's appointment.
That's an understatement.
Crash I
I'm
had.
fucking wore out.
Yeah. How'd your thing go at the hospital then?
It was fucking bullshit.
Did you give you the runaround or something or what?
They barely gave me any attention.
Jesus.
They left me sitting there for several hours without anyone checking on me or anything. And all they did was an X-ray when it needs a MRI and or at least a CT. And she didn't even, look at my knee, didn't palpate it, didn't do shit, didn't like bend it or anything.
It's no good, man.
Yeah, I was disgusted. I even called him and filed a complaint afterwards.
Yeah, sounds like that's what needed to happen.
Yeah, she sent me to an ortho surgeon. She said probably I had torn ligaments in my knee.
Oh, that's no good.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, that's not good at all, man.
What's going on, Lawfully Arm? I don't think I've ever been in chat with you before.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Yes, sir. Same to you.
I am making dinner right now, so I'm trying to be kind of Hush, hush.
I just had a carpet clean my floor for the last about 3 or 4 hours because last night we had a hellacious storm come in, and they were talking about tornadoes and shit. And dude, it dropped like a month's worth of rain last night, and my back door that faces eastward, it flooded in and flooded my living room and soaked my carpet. So I've been using the carpet cleaner to suck up all that water. Now I got fans on the ground. It's been a pain in the dick.
Sounds like we need to prep sandbags for next time.
Yeah, I already told my wife we need to do that. We're also gonna go out there and or I am, she's not.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna dig a couple of trenches to try to divert the water next time.
Yeah.
And then add sandbags in certain locations.
Yeah.
Probably dig those trenches out and then put some French drains in.
Oh, fucking hell, shit. Yeah, I could do that. That would help. But right now, I just at least need to get the trenches dug so it can help divert water.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yesterday morning, it was real bad here. I ended up falling asleep in the chair again, and it got woken up to a thunderstorm outside. And it sounded like it was mixed between thunder, lightning, and hail. And then a shitload of rain.
I didn't even go to bed until like almost 7 o'clock this morning because of the weather and the threat of tornadoes.
Yeah.
I was staging lights and shit everywhere, lanterns, and prepping certain areas that we can throw all the dogs into if tornado did hit.
Yeah. So anyway, going back to the last article I have for this Frank Tyson guy's story. This is actually the one I was looking at last night that was talking about the local mayor. So Canton Police Department, Ohio, has released body cam footage. A 53-year-old man died after he repeatedly told police, "I can't breathe," as he was handcuffed, with his hands behind his back and pinned to the ground. Yet, meanwhile, they were telling the cops to get him out of there is what it was. The people that actually owned the bar that he was inside of after he probably crashed somebody else's stolen car. Yeah. Said in the video encountered on April 18th, the man, Frank Tyson, can be seen lying motionless on the floor of the bar for more than 5 minutes before police checked on him for a pulse, and about 8 minutes before CPR was started on him. In the nearly 36-minute police cam footage, police responded to the scene of a single car crash to find a downed power pole and an unoccupied vehicle with the driver's side door open and an airbag deployed. And actually, that could be why he seemed kind of messed up too, because it might have just been him getting hit in the face with the airbag too, and it caused like a head injury or something maybe.
Damn.
So in the video, a man in a white van whose face is blurred drives and tells cops that the man responsible is at the AmVets Lodge down the street. Officers entered that bar/lodge place, and a woman asked them to remove Tyson. When the officers approach him, he knocks over a bar stool and tells them to get the sheriff. Mind you, this guy was already in prison for 24 years. He'd been out for less than 2 weeks when this happened. So they then attempt to handcuff him.
Citizen, huh?
Police identified Bo Sturgis and Camden Birch as the two primary officers who responded to the call. Video was captured by Bo's body cam. Tyson was yelling, "They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me." Called the sheriff several times and continues to say, "They're trying to kill me." Said police then take him to the ground, and a voice can be heard saying, "You're going to get sprayed." Another person says, "Don't spray him." So once Tyson is handcuffed, one of the officers appears to put his knee on the back of Tyson's upper body. While Tyson says, "I can't breathe," multiple times, the officer tells him to calm down and stop fighting. Tyson responds, can't breathe, you're on my neck." Says officer had his knee on Tyson for about 30 seconds, according to the video. Said shortly after, officer removed the knee. Tyson again says he can't breathe, to which someone responds, "You're fine, shut the fuck up." After Tyson appears to stop moving, officer is seen looking through Tyson's wallet and talking to bystanders. Tyson appears motionless on the floor for about 5 minutes, while at least one officer talks to bar patrons. At one point, officer jokes, "I've always wanted to be in a bar fight. Don't know if this counts."
Wow.
Yeah, that looks bad. That looks real bad.
Fucking horrible.
Yeah, that looks real bad, dude. Real
He's
bad.
going to lose his job.
Yeah, from my understanding, both these cops were only on the force for like 2 years or something. So, let's see. Yeah, it said. All right now. Yeah, so when one of the officers returns to the in frame, he asks whether Tyson has calmed down or whether he's breathing. Officer checks on him for a pulse. Officers later performed chest compressions. To no response from Frank Tyson. Canton police said that in the news released Friday, officers had responded to a report of a one-vehicle car crash around 8:15 p.m. Thursday. They said witnesses directed them to the AMVETS Lodge, where they made contact with Tyson, and he struggled with them. It says, quote, shortly after securing him in handcuffs, officers recognized that Tyson had become unresponsive. News release said CPR and several doses of Narcan were administered before Canton Fire Department medics arrived, and that Tyson had been taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead around 9:18 p.m. His cause of death is pending, said Harry Campbell, police investigator for Stark County Coroner's Office. In addition to the body cam footage, police also released recordings from 2 911 calls. The police department said in a statement that it, quote, immediately contacted the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, or BCI, to conduct an independent investigation. This is actually the Ohio BCI is what we use here with the Attorney General's office whenever there's like a high-profile thing, like the Jalen Walker case a couple years back now, or like any of these other cases like that. They're the ones who usually take over, and it's essentially internal investigations is what they actually are. So, and really just any high-profile case will take over and stuff like that. And if your gun is ever stolen and used in a crime, they're the ones that actually have to take it into their custody to, check on it and do ballistics and stuff like that. That's what it is there. So, anyway. So without naming Tyson, the Bureau confirmed that an investigation of a fatal officer-involved critical incident is active and ongoing, says Canton Mayor. This guy's only been in power for I think maybe 6 months or something now. William Shriver II said he had sat down with members of Tyson's family to not only allow them to see what is now being released to the public, but to give them my condolences in person. Shriver, Democrat, said in a statement that his goal is to be transparent as possible. Said, quote, this investigation is in the hands of the BCI, and we will continue to provide them with the required information. They need to do their job. Says Canton Police Chief John Gibbard said he extended his deepest sympathy to those close to Tyson. Said, based on the evidence, I am confident the BCI will conduct a very thorough review. Said both Shriver and Gibbard said that they believe that because of the pending investigation, they're limited to what they can actually say on camera, et cetera, et cetera.
Question real quick.
Go ahead.
The BCI or whatever it was you said that's going to do the investigation, is that
Yes.
part of the police department, or is this like a separate organization?
It's the Attorney General's office, and what it really is basically internal investigations, what it is there.
So they're going to find, if it's internal, that means it's obvious that they're going to find themselves doing nothing wrong, by the book, etc., because that's all they ever do is, protect their own. That's why I hate internal investigations. It needs to be done by an outside agency. I wouldn't even care if it was like a civilian setup, like type agency type thing. That way it's less bias.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure 100% this is actually internal investigations, or if it's more just like the state agency is what it is in the Attorney General's office. I know that Georgia has a similar one in their state too as well. There's a few other states like that, and it's basically it's essentially whenever there's high profile crime like this, they're going to take over and do the investigation and be like, okay, like I said with Jalen Walker's case, it's like, oh yeah, here's shell casing number 47 over here, here's 53 over there, there's 14 over there, et cetera, et cetera. So it's basically just like more manpower is what it is there essentially. So it said both these cops joined the department in 2022 and are assigned to the traffic bureau. They have both been placed on administrative leave while the investigation is underway right now. So yeah, not a good sign, man. Not a good sign that they're both on the force for like 2 years. Here's what it is.
Yeah, they definitely need to lose their jobs. Yeah. Also be criminally charged.
Yeah.
Because, just because you're a cop doesn't mean you're above the law.
Yeah. And I know this.
You're supposed to only use enough force, reasonable force, to subdue the subject. And it just seems like we hear more and more cases where the cops are using majorly excessive force on civilians just because, one, either they're evil or they get off on it because you read that one cop was like, oh, I always wanted to get into a bar fight. Does this count?
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that particular officer in the situation was probably early to mid 20s. So it might just be that they're just hiring shit police, is what it is, honestly.
That and honestly immature.
Yeah, exactly.
Because generally the rule of thumb is men we don't fully mature until 25 to 30.
Yeah.
Which there's some men out there that really never do because like us super geeks and shit, people can conceive us as immature and whatnot. So I mean, it's kind of more subjective than anything, I guess. But obviously, if you're a cop and you're talking like that, that shows your maturity level.
Yeah. Well, I'll do you one better than that. Actually, my sister's friend, she actually works for the Highway Patrol, and she is, I think it's some kind of forensics person or something. But she also has the power to decide like who is going to get promoted to, captain essentially, and who's not. Basically, is what it is. And there was a group of cadets that had just passed into they had just come off graduation, and they was like their first day or first week on the force, or whatever it was there.
Yeah.
And they were sort of joking around about some stuff, and one of them was saying something about like just doing like just essentially like fuck the Constitution, I'll do what I want kind of thing, whatever the case be. And she's like, yeah, you're never getting promoted in this place, and you're probably gonna get fired next year or so.
Yeah.
So
that's fucking funny. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. And that again, that's the thing. That's the problem with all these people. What it is. And then of course we had this one yesterday in Stark County as well, which was more towards the Akron area, like closer to Summit County is what it is there, because it was Summit County cops that were the ones doing this stuff, which was a shelter-in-place order that was lifted after a crazy-ass white guy. Actually, let me see if I can play this. I'm going to have to pull my mic there. So.
Breaking as we come on the air, police on the lookout for a man in a mask spotted with a gun near a community park. They released this photo. Good evening, I'm Caitlin McCarthy. Neighbors in the area told to lock themselves in their homes this afternoon. Michelle Nix with the breaking details in Uniontown in Stark County.
Frightening moments here at Uniontown Community Park as a family sets up for a 1-year-old's birthday party here at the park cabin. Someone runs in to warn them that a man with a gun, mask, and hoodie is in the park threatening someone. That's when police were called. The family barricades themselves inside the cabin, and the SWAT team moved in.
My wife ran through the building saying there's a guy with a gun outside. Hide, hide, hide.
Ron Whitmer tells me in a matter of seconds, his family went from setting up for his grandson's birthday party at the park to feeling like they were in a dangerous movie scene. People who live and work in the area were told to shelter in place for their own safety. The park surrounded by Uniontown police and the Summit County SWAT team.
We're trying to barricade doors.
What you needed to do?
My daughter, who has the 1-year-old, and the other little girl in a secure room. And the other 3 adults were holding doors because they were not locked from the outside.
Yeah, so basically it was just some dude who was doing criminal shit, basically. And my thinking on that whole thing is it's like, and this is why I always recommend people to carry in the state, because we're a constitutional carry state. Like, why the fuck are you unarmed in places like that, dude? So, it just blows my mind sometimes, honestly.
Yeah, I get it. Kind of on a note with that story you read a while ago about the guy getting, beat the fuck up by the cops and shit.
Yeah, Frank Tyson, yes.
You know how no matter what platform you are on or whatever, you start watching stuff and you kind of go down rabbit holes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did that last night because I couldn't do anything else during the storm. Everything, power went out and shit, but I watched several videos of police brutality gone wrong, and it resulted in the actual cops getting arrested and tried and sentenced, or at least fired, or depending on the severity of the case.
Yeah.
There's this one video I saw where this young man in his early 20s was drunk and belligerent, and his dad called the cops on him because he was threatening harm to other people, fighting and shit because he was severely drunk. Cops got there. He walks up to the cops and says, "How are you doing?" basically, and turns around and says, "Okay, take me to jail." He was voluntarily surrendering himself, wanted to be arrested.
Mhm.
Of course, the cops didn't do it. They waited until things got a little more escalated, and then they threw him to the ground and put him in handcuffs behind his back, put him in the squad car, and while they were standing there trying to talk to him, he tries to put his hands in the front by running them over his butt and over his legs and shit. Cops were standing there watching it. They yanked him out and threw him on the ground, and when they did, they broke his neck.
Ooh.
And they were trying to tell him to sit up and get up, stand up, and they were at the hospital because they were taking him for I don't remember what, but they were telling him to stop faking. They were cussing him out, calling him all kinds of fucking names and shit. Threw him in a wheelchair and took him inside and literally picked him up and threw him in bed. Handcuffed him in a very awkward position, kind of like arms out and feet, but one hand was handcuffed to his feet because they had him tied that way.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even really bother or worry about him. They were just further, abusing him and shit. And yeah, they broke his neck, which resulted in paralysis from the waist down.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that he had limited use in his arms.
Jesus.
That's like another one I heard like a year or so ago. It actually happened, I want to say in Austin or right outside of Austin, where it was this Hispanic dude and the cops were trying to arrest him. I don't know remember the story very well, but it was well known, popular. But he was kind of resisting an unlawful arrest, and the cops literally, I'm not fucking kidding, I didn't know it was possible, they ripped the motherfucking dude's leg off.
Whoa.
Because he was on the
Jesus.
ground, and they grabbed his leg and twisted it and pushed it in a unnatural fashion, and they ripped his fucking leg off. It was barely hanging on by some nerves, and
Jesus.
And they had obviously amputate because there's no way to fix that.
Yeah.
They had to tourniquet him because he was bleeding.
Yeah.
And I think those police were, or honestly, I think they were found justified, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there were two stories I remember from some years ago. I can't remember what the one guy's name was because he was a career criminal. But it was I think it was Baltimore, Maryland cops had like folded him up like a pretzel basically and tossed him in the back of a paddy wagon. And it paralyzed him for that whole thing. And he ended up dying in police custody is what it was then. And that became one of like the flashpoint ones for BLM basically. Mm-hmm. And then there was another one that I think it was like a year or two ago. And they had not, I think it was also Maryland area, if I'm not mistaken. They had sent the cops up there to put this dude in a paddy wagon or whatever the case be, did not secure him down properly, like lock his cuffs and stuff into place, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then like short stopped, like real quick, and it smacked the guy like right into the back of the fucking like metal box basically, and he like ping ponged over the fucking box basically is what it was there. And I don't know if it broke his neck and killed him or if it was just like paralyzed him somehow or something. But yeah, it was crazy shit though. His family sued the hell out of that department in that state though for that dude's deal there. So.
Yeah, I actually saw two of those videos going down that rabbit hole with the police and everything. The same thing you're just saying. One of them might be the one video you're talking about.
Yeah, it could be.
And yeah, they just slammed them and they slid and hit their head. One of them broke his neck, mm-hmm. and they literally had to drag him out. The other guy, I think they broke his back. I can't remember. It was so long, I don't remember, but yeah, I saw two of those. It's fucking.
Yeah, I think that's the.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Because it was a Soros DA that like basically let those cops off with nothing. Is what it was then.
Yeah, that's bullshit. One.
Freddie Gray, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, spine injured in police custody. It was the 2015 when it happened. So I'm not saying that guy was an upstanding citizen or anything like that. He was a career criminal, but like at the same time, it was fucked up how those cops like folded his ass in half, basically.
No, I agree. I saw where they did that to this black woman. She was pulled out of her car and they ended up arresting her. Then they went even further and they hogtied her and zip tied her legs and zip tied her handcuffs to her legs and just threw her in the back. Well, it was a 21-minute drive from where they were to the police department. And the cop hit the brakes and she literally slid into the fucking floorboard upside down. Her neck was bent in an unnatural way. And she is literally pleading out to the cop, begging for help to lift her up. She's hurting and it's only getting worse. She laid like that for 21 fucking minutes. Actually, I'd say more like 25 because getting inside the jail and everything. It was one of the actual jailers that found her that way and was trying to help her. And the cop told another cop, "Oh, she fell. She fell, being dramatic and faking everything." And yeah, she was actually fucked up too.
Yeah, it's fucked up. But yeah, going back to that Freddie Gray case here, because they have all the cops that are actually involved in his death. There's what it is, and then obviously you got litigation, which was City of Baltimore settled a $6.4 million lawsuit prior to Gray's family filing a suit. So I'm guessing they got maybe a couple million then. Wrongful death is what would be there.
That was the guy selling loose cigarettes.
No, that was Eric Garner, I believe. No, Freddie Gray was the guy in Baltimore. They like literally folded up in half and like threw in the back of a paddy wagon. Yeah, Eric Garner was the dude.
Okay.
I think it was Eric Garner. Was the dude in New York City who was. Dude, the thing is, though, there's actually interesting. AK Nation News, who I will watch on occasion here and there, is what it is. He actually does really good breakdowns of stuff, and he actually did a really, really good breakdown of Breonna Taylor's death and how she was actually like a super criminal and does not deserve to be basically looked at the way she is. But yeah, with Eric Garner though, he was kind of in that situation too. He was a guy that was all, them choking out basically with the NYPD there. And this guy also had like a career criminal background, and he was apparently like, it wasn't that he was just selling loose cigarettes either. He was like apparently, I guess, threatening people trying to go into this business and stuff and being like, "Give me money, motherfuckers." And then that's why the cops were actually called out by people, because he was like, threatening the safety of the public at that point. And now, granted, did the cops use excessive force to take him out there is what it is? Yes, they did. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's just fucked up all the way around, honestly. And it's, of course, you always have these flashpoints, especially around election times, because, that was like Eric Garner's death was a midterm election. Freddie Gray's death was leading the 2016 election. Of course, Filipino Castile, who actually was legitimately in the right that day and got killed by the cops. And even they said after the fact, had the cops' body cam / dash cam footage been admitted as evidence in that court case, that cop would have gone to jail for murder is what it is, as you should still go to jail for murder at this point. Like I would say, honestly, Castile was probably the only one of the other cases that is actually like unjustifiable on that one completely. So, and then of course people will never bring up Duncan Lemp, who was murdered one day after Breonna Taylor was, and it was because of red flag laws in Maryland. He was also the second guy that I know for a fact that was killed in Maryland over red flag laws. The first being Gary J. Willis, who was an older black guy who answered the door with a gun in his hand to what he thought was basically fake cops, and then they essentially just murked his ass out right there at the front doors with a business. So it's all fucked up. It's also why I'm totally against red flag laws in this country, because that's the only way they're used is to basically. And even they mentioned in Duncan's case, there was a break and break at like 3 a.m. while he was asleep in bed with his girlfriend, who was pregnant at the time with his child. And yeah, they just, of course, he's going to grab a weapon at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning when you're breaking into his home and trying to kick his fucking doors in and shit. Conveniently without body cam footage rolling. So. And there's actually ongoing litigation with that one too, but I don't know if his family's actually gotten anything going there or not yet. I don't think they really have, but it's just a sad situation all the way around. Actually, let's go ahead and see if there's any updates to that case right now. Let's see, this is all 21, 22. Yeah, it's like 2022 was the last real update on that one. And this was obviously a no-knock warrant on this one as well. Where it was, yeah, no-knock warrant, homicide by shooting, police killing. It was Pontiac, Maryland during a no-knock raid. SWAT team who was not wearing body cams at the time, or if they were not on. To believe Lemp possessed firearms illegally, which were recovered at the scene. Said police have said that Lemp was shot after confronting an officer during the execution of a raid. It's like, yeah, when you're doing that shit at fucking 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, of course they're going to confront you with a gun in their fucking home. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So
I don't think there should be no knock raids, no knock warrants.
There should not be. There should not be. And, well, even like that one the other day I showed a couple of times this week where it was the fucking cops outside that person's apartment building, and they're just like, DoorDash, and then they're conveniently like away from the door so you can't tell who the fuck it is. It's like, Jesus, bro. Like,
Cops piss me off. Cops are nothing but the largest gang organization in the country. And also, my opinion, that a lot of cops will call people that know their rights sovereign citizens, even though it's not applicable.
Yeah.
In reality, it's the cops that are actually the sovereign citizens.
Yeah.
If you think about it and apply their logic, they're talking about themselves.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They get paid by taxpayers' money. They act like they're above the law. In a lot of cases, they are, because they have this bullshit fucking qualified immunity, which is very hard to fucking get a cop to lose it, or even put them on the Brady list, or have them arrested. It's got to be so fucking egregious, and the public has to be aware of it and raise so much shit about it until something's finally done. And usually it's a smack on the wrist, because it was one of us that did the same thing. We would have probably gotten either the death penalty, life in prison, or, you know, our lives just completely ruined. It's not, they're not, hey, I'm gonna take care of myself. Okay. They're not fucking treated the same. Government always protects government when they can.
Yeah. I was trying to find this one video that came out the other day. It was a DA, and I forget what state it was, that she was actually running from the cops after speeding through like a random neighborhood with little kids playing around the street and stuff like that. And then proceeded to basically be like, well, I'm above the law because I'm a DA.
Are you talking about that one that got pulled over and she fled from the cops and went and parked in her garage?
Yes.
And then flashed her badge to the cops and was... What was the most egregious thing she said in that was the fact that, oh, just give me the tickets because I'll be prosecuting myself. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
She's sitting there saying she's going to make the tickets disappear because she's an attorney general and she's got her little fancy fucking badge. So she's showing and proving that she's corrupt. And the cop's just like, oh, we'll just give you tickets. When the cop was literally saying, oh, this is an arrestable offense, I can take her to jail, talking to his lieutenant. And nobody would, you know, do the right thing and arrest her ass. Because, like I said, you or I, they would have thrown the book at us for running from the cops. There'd be multiple felonies. And she got a fucking ticket. Man, cops fucking piss me off, I swear.
Yeah.
They're only getting worse day by day. And it pisses me off that there's so many fucking bootlickers out there that even like people that get pulled over and get fined because, you know, cops are nothing but fucking road pirates, or taken to jail. And, you know, I've seen videos where they actually thank the cops and be like, oh, yeah, I know you're just doing your job, but they're violating their fucking rights. It's like, fucking wake up, you fucking idiots.
Yeah. Well, then on a more interesting note, that's also Ohio related here, we got the Democrat Socialist of America Cincinnati chapter disrupted a Democrat event last night to demand that current Senator Sherrod Brown, who is a cheater in office, join the push for a ceasefire and stop voting for billions in aid and continuing genocide while screaming free Palestine, etc. And as one of our state reps here said, the Hamas lobby has spent a week trying to guilt elected Democrats into pulling out their pearl-clutching press releases in support of the hobo camps. Then, when the statements get released, they show up and heckle Sherrod Brown at a party. Yeah, it's funny. Fucking people. Yeah, if it's not the cops, it's the commies. And of course, you got the idiots at Harvard today. I think this is today, maybe yesterday. Released their little Palestine flag on University of Harvard campus then. So they're literally flying another country's flag in our nation at a major university in this country.
Yeah,
So,
they were showing they were portraying it to be in Texas, but here in Texas, a lot of places we fly like those gigantic fucking flags that could blanket your fucking house. Well, they took the Texas flag down and put up a Ukrainian flag, flying right next to the fucking United States flag.
Yeah.
I posted on there and said, "You fucking patriots in that area need to go and rip that motherfucking thing down and put an American or Texas flag back up."
Yep.
But they won't.
Yeah.
They're too much of a pussy.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of very interesting stuff going on this week as well, you had this chick who is an OnlyFans creator, says that she's been paid by the Biden administration to spread political propaganda and was told to not disclose her videos or ads. Says everything about Biden is fake. This chick, Farha Kalani, says that Biden administration reached out to her because they wanted someone with, and I quote, darker skin sharing propaganda for Biden. She was quoted as saying, "I'm doing full-on political propaganda," she said in the video there. So the funny thing is, they're like, do not disclose this as an ad because technically it's not a product, so you don't have to disclose it as an ad. Fucking insane. Yeah, it's all just a bunch of nuts, man. Okay, this girl was on whatever podcast at one point, I guess. It's one of them OnlyFans whores. Yeah, she's not even that good looking either, man. That's the sad part about it. So, but anyway. Yeah, let's see. Then we got this one, which is trans for Palestine activists assault comedian. Alex Stein at University of Austin, Texas. Comedian asked a group of trans activists if they support Palestine. Quote, "Don't Palestinians throw gay people off roofs?" They then assaulted him for it. So he's asking an actual question in there, beating the fuck out of the guy for it. Seems like a typical leftist thing to do, honestly, though. So, anyway.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to take care of some shit.
That's all right. That's all right.
Actually, I got to run some stuff to my neighbor.
Yeah, I think
he let me borrow
much...
his shop back, and
yeah,
I'm trying to take it back to him, and I left my phone in the house while I'm still on the fucking live chat.
Yeah,
my wife just brought it to me.
So we got this one here, which is happened a couple hours ago. It says breaking: law enforcement is on the scene of an active shooter with reported injuries, including 3 officers who have been shot. Multiple law enforcement and other agencies are on the scene in tactical gear responding to an active shooter. Where's this at? Someplace in Louisiana. Looks like the hood in Louisiana. Let's see. Tactical gear, active shooter situation beneath Airline Highway in Canton, Louisiana. Multiple shots have been reported, targeting both civilians and cops, resulting in 3 law enforcement officers, 2 civilians being injured. The extent of the injuries is unknown, and this remains a very active scene. Police are urging everyone to avoid the area as the situation escalates and unfolds. Yeah, not good, man. Not good at all. So, and there was an update an hour ago. It says active shooter suspect who shot at 5 people, including 3 cops, and also is wanted for a shooting on Thursday, has been identified as 31-year-old Matthew. What's this guy's name? Matthew Lathers, I think is how I pronounced the dude's name. So the scene is still very active, and the shooter is now in custody. So, yeah. So pretty much just hood violence, it sounds like, on that one. That they're claiming is a mass shooting. I don't know. Shit's getting lit anymore. I think it's only a matter of time before things actually finally kick off to an actual Civil War-esque level in this country.
Yeah. Shit is getting fucking just straight out bonkers, dude. It's literally, you know, Terminator meets The Purge meets you name it. It's fucking happening. I'm surprised that, you know, horrible shit hasn't popped off yet, because it's being primed for it to happen.
Yeah, and speaking of being primed for stuff to happen, we got this one from Andy No a couple hours ago, which was the Party for Socialism and Liberation has released a propaganda video about the Chaz-style Gaza Autonomous Zone at Stanford University. Says this woman here advertises how there is a flea market with the proceeds being funneled to Palestine. How is that not funding terrorism? Like, how would that not be, like, because obviously there's, like, terrorists in that country who the money's obviously going to. Like, how is that not directly funding terrorism at that point? Fucking crazy. So, let's see what this guy's saying here. This dude was talking about national parks here. Got supervisor at an American national park. After numerous National Guard visits and other strange events, he said, quote, I believe that some very heavily guarded secrets are located inside state and national parks. I have keys to almost every building. I have access code to almost every gate. I have access to places in the park that staff aren't allowed to go. And I have access to a park where general public is not allowed to go. You cannot fly drones over top this park, as well as other parks. So there's very heavy undercover presence here, and don't know that it is, and I know that for a fact. So there have been numerous times where large portions of the park were shut down due to ecological reasons. So there have been numerous instances where certain park lots were completely shut down and filled with National Guard military vehicles. So there are animals back here that are not supposed to be here. Out in the wilderness, there have been reports of staircases, just random staircases out in the forest, leading to nowhere. Huh, interesting. So,
Isn't that one of the SCP stories?
there's like some creepypasta stuff, like that's where apparently some of the staircase stuff came from. But then there's also other ones where it might be legit. But I know for a fact that with like national parks and stuff, there's a mix of various creatures in them, cryptoids, if you will, whether it be Dogman or Sasquatch and stuff like that, etc. And it could be something like that, honestly. And it could, I think also there might be some, truthfully, I think our government right now, like conspiracy time, I think our government right now is seriously in the process of making like their own cryptoids at this point, like humanoid hybrids or whatever. And it's them basically using these parks as staging grounds to see what they'll do and stuff. And it makes sense, especially if they know about like the whole, like, because I've watched a lot of these videos recently about the whole Dogman thing, and it seems like they're actually legitimately placing like big ass like elk, etc., into these places just so that they can be taken out by these Dogmen or Sasquatches or whatever it is for like a food source. So they're not attacking like everyday people and stuff. Because apparently you can't even hunt them where they're being relocated into or whatever there. So which is very suspicious in itself on that one. But anyway, I don't know.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff out there, and I mean, there's so much with our own country, honestly, that we don't know about right now. Like, I mean, I believe in the whole Hollow Earth theory personally, or at least like some kind of cavernous thing where it's like deeper down and there's potential like cryptoids living in caves and stuff like that's what it is then, whether it be Sasquatches or whatever the case be there. So. Jesus. Then we got this one here that's pretty disgusting, which is a Arkansas teacher and church volunteer charged with sexually assaulting 15-year-old she groomed at church. The 26-year-old woman named Regan Gray has been charged with felony assault of a teenager. The church was allegedly aware of the abuse, and instead of calling police, they instead assigned a, quote, accountability partner to Gray. The accountability partner was the pastor's wife. After the counseling sessions, Gray continued with the abuse. She allegedly only performed oral sex on the boy because she wanted him to stay pure. The accused pedophile was a teacher at Little Rock Christian Academy and was a member of the student ministry of the church. After the police finally got involved, Gray was a teacher at the Sullivan Hills Middle School. She was then suspended as a teacher. Fucking disgusting, dude. Like, what is with all these, like, older Gen Z / younger millennials, females being all fucking nuts and, like, obviously pedophiles now?
I think it's probably just the continued downturn of society, like
It's got to be something
like
fucked up.
post third wave feminism.
Yeah.
Like you just, and who knows, maybe that kind of stuff went underreported 20, 30 years ago. You know, we've always heard about the pervy male teachers.
Yeah. Well, I know that Mary Kay Letourneau was like the most famous one of them, is what it was. So, I don't know.
I had the most like feminine high school counselor. He had been in the Navy. And he spoke very soft, and effeminate. And then lo and behold, like a year or two after I graduated, turns out he had been like communicating with or acting out with like the entire cheerleading squad. And of course, he went to prison.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But you do hear about these female high school teachers all the time now. Yeah.
And again, unfortunately, it's a two-sided situation there, because if it is a dude, they'll get, 20, 30 years. If it's a female, they'll get like a year or two in most cases, maybe 5 at most. Or it may be 5 years probation or something like that. That's what it is, instead of jail time. So,
and some of that's just recognizing, like for us as men, realizing that there's never going to be true equality.
No.
At any, But it would be cool if society could agree on standards,
Yeah, it'd be nice.
As far as societal role, age, age of consent, age to serve, age to drink, age to be a police officer. If we could come to consensus on that, that would solve a lot of our internal issues, I think.
Yeah. Going back to the style occupations, you had Indian University of Bloomington says far-left extremists confronted law enforcement and are claiming victory after the officers chose to withdraw rather than risk physical confrontation with a violent mob. And as Alex Jones pointed out 10 hours ago, he said globalist-funded / controlled left is openly planning to burn the country down when Trump wins in November. Communist uprising will be billed as the populist civil war to end white rule. So this is the plot of the new Hollywood film Civil War. This is all run by the CIA. This is BlackRock revolution designed to end America forever. Get ready. So, yeah, not good at all. Not good at all. No bueno.
That Indiana guard's got good kit.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that do, actually. I know when the Ohio State cops there, oh man, they didn't fuck around the other day. They beat the fuck out of them kids. They were just like, well, I mean, I'm sorry. I'll put it like this. So they tell them at like 8 or 9 a.m. because their whole point was they were trying to do an occupation of Ohio State is what it was the other day. And they're like, yeah, you're not doing that here, dude. Like, you're physically not allowed to do that here. We are telling you right now, disperse or you're going to get arrested. And they're like, okay, we're not going to do it here, whatever, during the daytime. Meanwhile, they come back like 8 hours later in the middle of the night. And they're like, okay, we're totally going to occupy now. And then the cops are like, no, you're not. And they're just like, yeah, we are. And yeah, it just led to a confrontation where they just beat the fuck out of these kids and the rest of the shit out much was what it was then. So it was actually pretty funny. I watched the video footage of it. So, and they totally got what they deserved, honestly. So it's like, yeah, just listen up and don't do stupid shit, honestly. You're not going to get, dumb things happening to you. So, but anyway. Other than that, though, I think that's pretty much where we're at for the day. I got some stuff I got to do, and then hopefully be back tonight for Honda's chat later. And I don't know exactly what he'll be doing when it comes to different stories. I know he did he apparently had some kind of a first flight today. They're in Colorado for his new flight school thing he's going to be doing now, which is good. So it's nice to see him actually taking the steps to get moving on that one then.
I hope it pays off for him.
I hope it does too. And I'm one of these guys that, like, it's not like I'm trying to give you a shit or whatever the case be, but it's like, I honestly did not think he was going to go that far with it. Honestly, I think it was just bullshitting, honestly, but knowing that he actually has taken the steps to get forward now, I'm very happy for him, and I hope he actually does work out for him. So,
I mean,
nice
I'm not ever going to, I'm not ever going to put anybody down for doing something they want to do. It's kind of a weird flex for, if you really are truly believing that we're headed down the path, that a lot of us, of doom and gloom. What a weird career to try and pivot into.
Yeah, it is a bit
because it takes time.
I understand what he was saying, though. It's something he's wanted to do for years and stuff. It's just him finally taking the steps to do is what it is then. So
yeah, I mean, and if it ends up being the post-apocalyptic A-team, he can be the pilot.
Yeah, and then of course you got this fucked up shit going on. I think this is in California, where we got Democrats rejected bill authored by Senator Shannon Grove to make buying of children for sex a felony in that state. Democrats then hijacked the bill, forcing amendments and denying Grove's efforts to protect 16 to 17-year-old kids from being purchased as part of a commercial sex trafficking ring. Yeah, just truly disgusting stuff. It's really fucked up shit there. And yeah, apparently I found out recently it's actually only a misdemeanor in California to actually buy kids for sexual purposes, which is fucking insane. So
yeah, I'm surprised that's something that's not already.
It should be a nationwide felony.
National, it ought to be a national felony. And all these states that have the worst problems with that seem to have a lot of correlation with strict gun laws. Yeah. I think everyone should have their day in court, but also if you get caught by somebody molesting a child, they ought to be able to execute you right there. Like that ought to be acceptable force.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's like I've said before, and you'll notice that too with a lot of these Chad-style occupations. It's all in these places like New York, California, etc., that are allowing it to go on there, and it's mostly anti-gun states and stuff like that. The only one that's not is Indiana, obviously, because it's a constitutional carry state, but it's also kind of semi-lefty depending on where you're at there and stuff. So it's hard to say, but yeah, it's fucked up is what it is, and it's very disgusting what we keep seeing here in this country, where you have just the continued fuckery of everything, and nobody really seems to choose to stop it, I guess is what I'd say best. And if you try to stop it yourself as an armed citizen, like, they're gonna try to arrest you or kill you, is what it is then. So,
oh yeah,
it's hard to say.
I don't know of any test cases to prove it, but when you take your concealed carry class in my state, they make it very clear that besides imminent fear of death or bodily harm to you or your immediate loved ones, the two other reasons to shoot somebody are to stop an arson or a kidnapping.
Yeah, I know when they passed essentially stand your ground here, which is not quite that, because they did some stuff to it to make it not fully stand your ground. So
Mhm.
essentially expanded castle doctrine is what it actually is. But they put some stuff in there that was basically along the lines of, yeah, you can protect yourself, your family, the general public, etc. If you're witnessing someone being kidnapped or whatever the case be, or somebody you think is in danger or whatever, you can use deadly force against their assailant is what it is then. So yeah. Hopefully it'll be done pretty soon and stuff like that, and we'll have a lot more of that going on then across this country. And I think depending, you'll see this country definitely fracture at some point. It just depends on how long it's going to take to do it. And I think when we do, we'll be in a 30-ish state nation. It'll be then. So, but anyway, that's where I'm at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Any final words?
Stay hydrated.
And as I always like to say, always be armed because you never know what's going to happen, and make sure that you're heavily armed going out now because you never know what kind of crazy stuff's going to be happening in this country anymore, especially with all these Chaz occupations, etc., at these college campuses. And you know, people are nuts, dude. People are nuts, and it's even going to get more nuts, I think, when the summer hits here, and it's going to get, especially weather finally getting hot here in Ohio and everything else like that. I think things are about to kick off like crazy here and a lot of other places too, for that matter. So it's better to be strapped than be the victim of a crazy leftist mob is what it is. So have a good one, y'all. Later.